And so that's the first diagram in our series. We call it Designed for Good. Designed for good. Because we know that God, as a loving creator, ultimately designed us to be in relationship with one another and to be in relationship with Him. And that's where we begin sharing God's story with our unconnected friends at the very beginning of history. And we realize that what happened when mankind, through Adam and Eve, made the decision to go their own way. That this was the world that God had created, and it was a good world. But in essence, Adam and Eve said, no, we want to be God. We want to take this world and we want to make it all about us. And so now we live in a world that is distorted, a world that's broken, a world that is full of strife and struggle and of oppression and injustice. And of course, the most tragic part of all, that our relationship to God was shattered as well. And we call this damaged by evil. And God, loving us and loving His creation, the world, the way that He did, He didn't want to leave us stuck in that situation. And so He stepped into our mess. He stepped into our darkness with the person of Jesus Christ Himself. And we have nothing to fear because God has conquered death. He has conquered sin in our behalf and for us. We call this restored for better. That this was God's act for us in His Son, Jesus Christ. That when we couldn't get to Him on our own, when we couldn't do enough good things to earn ourselves back into right standing with God, that He came to us in the person of Jesus.
You know, for a lot of Christians, we assume that salvation is it for us. But the reality is that God leaves us here on earth to continue His mission of sharing His hope with other people. Through the power of the cross and fueled by the Holy Spirit, we are sent together to heal in our relationships, our community, and our world.
Well, let's be honest. There's a limited amount of good that you can do on your own. But the reality is that our hearts are so broken. There is so much messiness inside of us that, let's be honest, we have a hard time taking care of ourselves, let alone overcoming all of the evil in the world on our own. If we want our lives to count 100 years from now, if we want our lives to matter for eternity, then the only kind of change that lasts is the kind of change that comes about through a relationship with Jesus Christ.